Hi guys, and welcome back to the Retro Room. Today we're going to look at this large, beautiful, made in the USA 286 board. It's running an Intel 8 MHz 286 chip. This board is, we'll get it up here in the where the camera can see it. Maybe. If you can see that, getting a glare from the light. Yeah, right along here. It says copyright CSS Labs Incorporated, 1985. CSS AT motherboard. This is an AT clone board, and it came in a case that looks very reminiscent of an IBM AT, like a 5170. It has 512 kilobytes of RAM right down here. I've attached a PC speaker. Now, the listing for this board said that it was not working. Well, let's see what we can do about that. I've already tested all of the voltage rails here to test for any shorts, and I didn't find any. We're going to plug this. This is an 8-bit ISA VGA card from Chips and Technologies. That's running a Chips and Technologies F82C456. Has a little chip on the back as well. It's the Chips and Technologies F82C460. Both chips made in Japan. It's an 8-bit card, so we'll stick it in this 8-bit slot. Connect video here. And then I'll switch camera and we'll see what shows up on screen. Alright, I'm back after adjusting some cameras. The video capture system didn't want to capture video from this video card. Well, let's flip the power switch. Looks like the board is working just fine. Yeah, RAM error. There's not a battery hooked up. I haven't set anything up. There's no controller, no drive controllers or anything on this board. I don't even have the keyboard set up. But the board boot just fine, and it shows all of the memory. Well, the board works right out of the box. Didn't have to do anything at all to it. I'm relieved, but also a little disappointed. Alright, well, when you turn that off, we're going to show something else. Alright, let's disconnect this video card. Unplug him there. Pop these power connections off. Incidentally, this board size is a full-size AT. A baby AT would stop about here on the keyboard. It's got all this extra room on it. All right. This bad boy here is an IBM 256 to 640 kilobyte system board. Came out of an IBM 5160. which I have the case and a few of the cards that came with it. The hard drive was not in it. In fact, that bay was completely empty, not even a cover over it. The case needs a little love. I'll show that in a later video. This board is fully populated with 640 kilobytes of RAM. It has an IBM made 8088 processor. Standard power connection. While we're over here, we can see the problem. If you can see that in the camera. It's a blown tantalum capacitor. So I'm not going to try to put power to this board right away. We're going to try to fix that first. First thing I'm going to do, though, is make sure there's not any other shorts on this board. I have my multi-tester here, which we'll get where the camera can see it. Turn him on. Now this is a cheapie. It doesn't beep when it finds a short. I'll show you what one looks like though on this. The middle 4 pins on here connect to the black wires here, and those are all ground. So just short across both of those, you can see it has 001. That tells us a short. This capacitor is going to show a short, and it does here on the 12-volt line. It's not connected to these outside 2 pins. It is a little on that one. On the 5-volt, it's not shorted. It shows some resistance there. That's a ground pin. So I think that's our only short, that tantalum shorted, blue and shorted. Let me turn around and let's pop him off of there, then we'll retest it. Okay, here we are. My soldering iron is warmed up. But for this chip, if we can see it here, I believe I'm just going to snip these legs off first. That went flying. Well, I'll find that later. Doesn't appear to be any damage on the board here. All those appear to be separate. Now let's see if we have shorts still. Grab my tester, turn it back on. We can see that. Looks like the short is gone, except on that pin. Okay. Did get rid of one short though. Right there. What's that third one over though? Let's take a look at the board. So that third one right there, I can't see it leading to anything on the back there. Sure can't see anything on the front. I'm taking a look over the board to see if there's any more of these capacitors that show signs of damage or explodery, where it just decided to give up the ghost, fill somebody's room full of the magic smoke that smells and lingers for days. I'm not seeing anything. Well, let's see if we can pluck those legs out of there. Trying to figure out my plan of attack. It's this spot right here. I have the chisel tip on my soldering iron. A little bit of solder stuck on there. Grab a hold of this pin, maybe. Finicky little parts. Hard for my big old hands to get in there. Almost had it. Let's try something else. I got the pin. I'll just do it 2 more times. That one just popped out of there. This is a well-made thick board. Long thread pulled out of there. I think I made a mistake. I sure did. Pulled the leg right out of another capacitor that's on there. Oh. We'll fix that later. There's that last pin. Yeah, this capacitor's broken, thanks to me. Pluck him out of there. Hello again. It's sometime later. I started fixing and, well, forgot to start recording. I got this capacitor replaced. It's not quite the same value, but hope it works. I guess we'll find out, huh? And this is the same value as what came off of there, even though it looks a little different. Just need to solder its legs down. Of course, there's lots of videos of people doing this sort of thing. Heat the leg. Put some solder in there. We'll freshen up these as well. And that should just about do it. Alright, let's trim these legs. Pretty simple task there. Don't want to leave them real long. we'll short test this guy again. All right. Have the black on the ground. That's still ground. That's not. This is a plus 12 volt. We got a plus 12 volt direct to ground, it looks like. All right. So there's still a short on this board. Let's pop this in here. Then we'll probe around the board and see if we can't find what is connected to plus 12 volt. That one is. That one is. Of course, that one could be connected to ground too. Just about every capacitor is showing. Sorry for the patented retro room handy cam here. This is the board we were looking at before. This is sometimes later. There was a short on the plus 12 volt line, which is this yellow one here. So I looked around at capacitors that looked to be shorted on that line, and I popped off this one, and then this one on C52, this other one was C59, and then there's this one on C56, which I remembered Adrian from Adrian's Digital Basement having trouble with a board that had a capacitor on there that was shorting the board. Pop those off. When I got C56 taken off the board, which was the last one I did, I noticed this little 12-volt indicator light started shining dimly. It was pulling power from my multimeter here. We'll turn that off. We don't need that right now. So I sat back, took a sigh of relief, because that means the short was fixed. So now I have it plugged into power with the postcard and the video card in there. And when we turn it on now, it clicks. Then gives a long and 2 shorts for a beep. And it shows video. Counting up the memory right now. It shows a 301 error because I don't have an XT keyboard or an adapter or anything of the sort currently, but won't stop us from at least getting this far with this board. There it goes, the full 640K tested on board. Then it gives a 601 error because there's not a floppy controller on board. But that's okay, we'll worry about all of that later. I will also replace all of these capacitors later because I have ones that'll work for that. Again, thank you for joining me. I'm glad this board is alive,